Alright, this is the second part of my exam. The first question is asking me about parameters, sample, statistics, and population. The example that I've come up with is how many warm blood horse breeders in the U.S. breed hunters. So for that example, the parameter would be the horse breeders in the U.S. that breed hunters. The sample would be, I don't know, let's say I ask 100 breeders in the U.S., horse breeders in the U.S., and let's just say, I don't know this, I'm just making this up, but let's just say 40% of warm blood horse breeders in the U.S. breed hunters. That would be my statistic, and my population would be warm blood horse breeders in the U.S. And the difference between a statistic and a parameter, the statistic is the actual number that we calculate. It would be like the 40% number that we calculate. The parameter is what we're focusing on, what we're trying to find out. And we typically know the statistic since we use the statistic to estimate the parameter. And then the second question, question 2, has it's talking about parents if they would prefer to have their child taught by a male or female, grades kindergarten through 2nd grade. The first question is asking me to construct a 90% confidence interval. So for a 90% confidence interval, that number would be 1.64 divided by 2 times the square root of 567. And 567 was the sample that this survey took. And that calculates the margin of error for that would be 3.4%. So my confidence interval would be 15% plus or minus 3.4%, which is the margin of error. B, explain what this confidence interval means. Basically, a confidence interval, it's the percent of intervals that cover the parameters. So, including the margin of error, and thinking about that, there will be 90% will cover the margin, or will cover the parameter, which is what we're trying to find out. And C is what will happen to the confidence interval if you increase your level of confidence and everything else stays the same. When I calculated that, I increased it, I did some math, I increased the confidence interval or the level of confidence to 95%, and I saw that my confidence interval got larger because yes, it just got larger. And then same thing, D, what will happen to your confidence interval if you decrease your sample size and everything else doesn't change. When I calculated it, if my sample size was only 100, then the confidence interval will also be larger. I calculate those two. Alright, and that's it for part 2.